Hello and welcome back to another Redline kind of thing. Still not sure where I'm gonna go with this, but I wanted to review this piece. The day itself. It's almost 24 hours since I began working on this. Working to finish it. This is of the character, I believe it's pronounced Kuzalik, from Little Fox on Twitter. Anyway, I wanted to redline this real quick because I figured I want to try to do it. Talk about what my thoughts are, my thought process behind this when it's finished, and what I initially had hoped for it, and maybe point out some of the mistakes that I myself am noticing only a bit later. What things I would have liked to do better as well. Yeah, I can tell you immediately what I would like to have done better. But here we go. So here's a red line, official red line of Kuzalik, the digital painting. First off, I will say what I'm happy about. I am really happy about the, let's call it the pacing of the image. Hold on, let me add a filter so it's black and white. Right, so I'm really happy about the pacing of the image. So everything fits very well. This is one of the few times I've actually taken time to plan out the color and light. So I'm quite proud of myself for that. So this dark here contrasts very well with the body, contrasts very well with everything. This gets a bit lighter, but the body's still lighter. And then these two spears here, right? This glaive spears. Then this, this whole part contrasts very well. I like that this part blends in, right? Value-wise, it blends in quite well. I think color-wise, it doesn't, right? You can still see the difference there, but value-wise, it blends in quite well, which I like because I wanted him to have a kind of a connection to the ground-ish, not in spirit, but more like in actual connection. It looks like he's close enough to the ground to do certain things. I meant to blend in. That's the word I was looking for. I do like this division here, right? I like this. What else? I do really like what I did with the background over here, right? This whole section I think was pretty well done. Quite happy with it. Well, here's to the points that I'm unhappy with. Oh, one other thing, the color that I ended up going for. I'm quite happy with this blend of greens and oranges and blues, and then back down to greens and then yellows, and then he's green and red, and so I'm quite happy with the color shifting. And of course, the blue petals are my favorite part of the piece right now, and the highlights that I added. Now, what I don't like, I believe I made a mistake. A mistake that unfortunately was beyond my ability to correct without ruining the entire piece, I felt. And that was that I drew initially. The idea was that he would, because they are what's the word called, digitigrade. So they're digitigrade. So it goes back and it comes forward, right? So one thing I actually wanted to do was to have it a bit more sweeping, right? Because of the neck comes down here, I wanted him to sweep this way. So actually the foot should have been going this way, right? And then I would have made the other foot kind of like fold out like this, and then in, and like this. This would have given it way more force, right? This would have given it way more force, and I think unfortunately, I just didn't manage to pull it off too well, right? So unfortunately, the violin is part of the readability, right? So we have to add that in. So I feel like this would have stood out a lot better, honestly. This would have given it a lot more power to the pose, right? Right? See? I feel like it would have given a lot more power to the pose compared to what I ended up going for. This one says more of Pied Piper in the Woods, even though it's not what we're going for. But the point is, it does have the whole Pied Piper of Hamelin kind of feel, which I think would have suited better than having his 2 feet planted on the ground. I think, but unfortunately, along the way, I think I lost track of my posing. I feel like I've lost track of my posing. So unfortunately, I ended up with something a lot stiffer, and I'm pretty unhappy with the pose. I'm pretty unhappy with how the pose ended up looking. It should be noted that this was not the original design. The original pose design had the leg going out a bit further and doing that sweeping thing. But then I felt that it looked a bit too stiff, or it looked a bit too forced. So then I planted the back leg, let's call that, down on the ground. But then I realized then it became a bit too stiff because now both feet are facing the same direction. So part of the readability I have an issue with now was that I let's call it a lack of foresight if we must. When we talk about direction or what I'm trying to achieve here, where we talk about flow, is that this tail is sweeping in this direction, right? It's going here, it's going out here. The legs are pointing in this direction, right? So everything is going here. Everything is going here. It's pointing here, right? Everything is pointing there. And it just feels like it's fighting with this image because this one flows quite well. See, this point's here, right? But then the cross-section of the body goes right here, and this comes down. It has a very nice kind of, like I say, it fits like almost an infinity kind of symbol, which is a very nice feeling, right? Then you have this bow that breaks the mold a bit. It looks really nice. And then the face kind of looks down here, which completes the circuit, if you are following me. Also, this is kind of like personal logs as well, so if you're not following me, I'm sorry. This is also more for me than anything. So I do have to pay attention more next time to readability and direction. I feel like it could have done a lot better if I had gone for the other option where, see, like the head faces this way, the body comes down here, and then it comes down here and the leg just goes this way, right? Or even better, if I can tilt the leg, right? Tilt it slightly, right? Maybe that will work. Then it will come towards the viewer, which is fine. You do want it to go around a bit, right? Then maybe the other leg will do a bit more aggressive sloping, right? But then this one can come over here a bit, right? It'll be pointing in this direction. That's fine. Then the tail can stay the way it is, and it goes out here, right? So it kind of flows out. It kind of sweeps outwards, right? Kind of sweeps outwards, right? I want it to feed back. So I feel like, unfortunately, I made everything a bit too confined to neutral, because currently this is both in the same direction. It's just neutral position, so it come off a little bit more boring than intended. I will admit that unfortunately my decision to make the feet planted firmly on the ground is because I lack a complete understanding of how the let's say draconic feet would look face forward, right? So I lacked that proper understanding. Or rather, I actually drew it this way, but along the way I realized that I didn't have enough information available to me, referentially, to draw it face forward or facing forward. Also, it's late currently when I'm recording, so I'm going to use words that don't make sense anymore. Okay, so my major gripes. Those are my major gripes with the image right now. Everything else it's just 90%, just that 10 more percent would have driven this over the edge and made it the best thing I've drawn this year. Currently, it is one of the better things I've drawn this year, but it could have been so much better. Again, I really wish. I have to do some studies on draconic feet as well later on, and figure out how to avoid this problem in the future. So, again, would have loved it if this went here, and then even if I do a sweep, even if you can't see the other leg, right? It's fine, right? Let's just fold it in, right? Even if you don't see the other leg, it's fine. It would have read a lot better, right? If I did the legs here like this, right? It would have read a lot better. It would have given him more force, right? Right now, he has a bit of force, yes, but it's not enough to justify. What I could have also done, probably, I could have just, pushed it some more, so that his torso was over here, right, instead of where it is now. Right, I could have definitely pushed it a bit more. Maybe that would have given it a different feel. Again, overall, good, but I have to pay attention to it to try to improve in the future. So, another thing. Definitely need to learn to add a bit more doodads on the ground. I initially added a few flowers here and there, but then I realized it was detracting too much from the image, because I kept the ground. At the end of the day, I kept the ground the way it is, or the grass ground the way it is, purely as a decision to keep the ground from being cluttered. I don't want your eyes to linger down here. This is not where I want you to be. I want you to be up here looking at this, looking at all this, right? So I don't want you to be looking down here. So I kept as few details as I could down below. Just enough to give it a bit of interest when your eyes do wander down there, but not enough to keep you there, right? But I feel like I could have maybe added a few things here and there without killing the image. Overall, I'm not too bothered about that. Again, my major gripe is the pose. Of anything else is the pose. Other than that, bits and pieces here and there, they're not too bad. Could have added a bit of plant variety, maybe from the foreground. Maybe some like some of these types of plants. I don't know. Maybe like this, and then one more like this, right? Just a few here and there. Maybe would have added a bit more significance or a bit more power to the image, right? I should have added a bit of this. Then maybe I should have expanded the dark area, right? To include a bit of the foreground, right? This will probably have read a lot better. Other than that, I'm not too disappointed with how this came out. Pretty proud of how it came out overall. A few areas I can see could still be improved. Definitely texturing. Texturing needs to be better. This one's fine. I like the grass texture. The grass came out alright. Texturing of probably the scales here, but this one, the problem with this is that I am drawing somebody else's character, so I didn't dare to take too many liberties, or else I would have added some scales here, like near the mouth area, maybe one here like that, but I didn't want to do it because I felt like, especially if it's other people's characters, it's a bit disrespectful just to simply add details that aren't there. Details that make sense, sure. Details that might make sense specifically, sure. Especially depending on the reference sheet that you have of their characters. But I didn't want to go too crazy. I'm really happy with the sword, the way it came out. I feel like the sword ended up well, not really, but much better than it initially was. Initially, I had a problem I couldn't figure out, where I felt like the sword was a bit too bendy. I was trying to figure out what it was. Turns out that it wasn't straight. I didn't, due to the coloration that I put in, it wasn't straight. It wasn't like this. Because of the values that I had put in, and if you watched the process videos before this, you would have seen me struggling with the sword, wrestling the sword for quite a while. It turns out I had actually painted values to make it look like it's bended this way, right? It's a very subtle kind of bend, but because of the way values work and all that, it's pretty obvious. It looks kind of like the sword is bending. Which didn't look good, so I had to redraw all that. Much better now. It looks like a straight sword now. I added this as a detail. This was not part of the character, but I added that little doodad here. I quite enjoy this one. I did think of adding things here, but then I felt like since these petals are going to be arrayed here already, and then the light is going to hit here, I didn't want to draw too much attention away from that. I'm quite happy with this muscle. This little bump here. Yeah, all these little details are the things I'm really happy about this year. There's a little bump here, this muscle bump here. I like that. I like this. I like how this turned out. I like this delineation over here. I love this part here. I like the bark textures. I think I could have gone a bit more of it, but again, there were already too many details, and he didn't want to print it, right? So when the client told me he wanted to print it, I had to make sure that I didn't go too crazy, because some things are not going to show when you print. I'm happy with this dark area here, because this is perfect, right? And then this little scale here. I like this. He liked it too, so I think I could have brightened up this top part here a bit more, but you know, that's fine. This one also, I like that. I'm very happy with the hilt. He told me it was a root kind of hilt, so I had to figure it out for a while, and I'm quite happy with the solution I came up with was this. I like the sword as well. It ended up looking good. I'm very happy with this, right? Because the description he gave me of this plate was that it was just a sheet of metal. So I was thinking like, well, you are a D&D character, you're going to be going through a lot of fights. What if I, you know, scunched up the sheet of metal a bit, crushed it a bit here and there to show it some wear and tear. And so I ended up with this. Well, he didn't comment on it, so I think he liked it. So we'll just leave that there. This design was his. So I just followed it, nothing much there. Added some details to the belt that weren't on the original. Added this thing, which actually wasn't on the original as well. But I felt like this area was a bit too empty, so I added this kind of like a key ring thing. I don't know what you want to call it. So I just added that there. This thinking like, what would a bard have as well on his person. Other than that, the rest is actually part of the original character design that I was given. So yeah, I initially did a bit of reflection, or like added some reflections on this, but then I realized it started to kill the color of the character, because he's green, right? So a lot of the reflections will be going this way. Even here would have some green, right? It would have some green here. A lot of bright greens will be here. But then you're gonna have a sky which is around this color. It's gonna be around this color, right? Because you know it's a sky, right? So I felt like having that orangey bit and then just having it sweep down. I couldn't think of a way to make it look good, so I decided to leave it out first. Until I get better, then once I can understand reflections clearer, hopefully I'll be able to do better. Overall, I'm really proud of this. I'm really happy with how the final lighting turned out. I could probably stand to tighten a bit of the colors a bit more, honestly. Yeah, I can probably stand to tighten a bit of the colors, or at least the values a bit better. But overall, I've got no complaints. I'm happy to put this closed and completed. Right, so that's my red line for the current paint, or the previous paint, Kuzalik. I look forward to doing more of these, at least for my own logs, maybe. Yeah, quite happy with this, and hopefully I can apply what I've learned here as well to the future. Alright, that'll be all for now. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.